Hello, this is Tanya and Amelia from Coffee Catch-Up's podcast. You are listening to Coffee Catch-Up's Espresso on Cross Rhythms Plymouth. Whoop whoop, hello.
Whoop whoop, hello.
Yes, it's our catchphrase, our very sad catchphrase. But what can we say? We are millennials.
We are.
We are no longer the cool kids. That's
Tragic,
Gen Zs.
but true.
Right, so this week we are asking ourselves, should I ditch my smartphone? Given all the bad things.
Interesting question.
Yeah, smartphones, bit addicted to them. Has the world all gone wrong since we invented the smartphone? Let's discover that. But we're going to start with a little quiz.
Oh, no.
Who doesn't love a quiz?
I'm going to get all of these wrong.
Oh, I believe in you. I believe you can get one
Thanks, mate. At least one. Yeah. Definitely not the one that we talked about before the show.
right. No, well, let's see how good your memory is in that case.
Yeah, okay.
We're going to do the quiz all about smartphones. Right. So, which company invented the first smartphone?
See, my instinct is to say Apple, but I feel like it might not be Apple. I'm going to go wild card and say Nokia.
Yes!
Is it actually?
Very good. In
Mate.
2006, the first smartphone was the Nokia N95.
That's crazy.
Going to Google that one later. Okay. Question. Is the Android or the iPhone more popular? Which one?
Ooh. It's got to be iPhone, right?
Nope. Android.
Is it not?
Yeah, there's more Androids on the planet than there are
That is a
iPhones.
win for the Android users, including myself.
I know, I'm very
Great
bitter
job,
about that. We are, literally, one of us has got an iPhone and
Yeah.
you've got an Android. Right, in what year was the first iPhone created?
Created or released? Is it a different time?
Synonymous in this.
Okay, 2007.
Very good. You didn't know that
Yeah.
already though, did you?
I mean,
I hadn't accidentally said that.
No, totally not. I also do have a memory. I probably would have guessed around that time, but yeah.
What at present is the most downloaded app?
Ooh, the most downloaded app. I mean,
There's a lot
That's a
of good ones
difficult one.
to choose from, isn't there? I mean,
is it Facebook?
not at the moment. No.
No.
It is ChatGPT.
Is it ChatGPT?
Yeah.
Oh, that's really
Closely
interesting.
followed by TikTok or TokTik,
Oh,
as
no.
I like to say.
The kids are taking over,
Yeah,
man.
they literally are. True or false? The modern smartphone has more computing power than the computers that were used for the moon landing Apollo 11.
Oh, see, I wouldn't know when Apollo 11 was. Was that? As
was
in
moon
the
landing.
the
It was
actual
moon
moon
landing,
landing. Okay, so like 1960s. Oh, surely it's got to be smartphones, right?
Yeah, so that's true.
Yeah.
Your smartphone has more power than the computers
That's
that
mad.
were involved in the moon landing.
That's
Crazy, isn't it?
Crazy.
It is crazy. And how many times a day does the average person interact with their smartphone?
Oh, it's going to be some outrageous number that's going to make me feel bad, isn't
Weirdly, it wasn't as bad as I thought.
Is it not?
I probably did it more.
it? 20?
Oh, maybe it is outrageous.
What is it?
150.
No.
150 times
That
the
feels
average
like a
person.
big number.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. That's
And
crazy.
Approximately, how many smartphones exist worldwide as of 2024?
Exist worldwide.
So it's not how many people own them.
I mean, so it's going to be... So there's what, like 8 billion people in the world?
Mm-hmm.
And then smartphones that exist.
Yeah. So it includes people who have two smartphones, like a work phone and a personal phone.
Oh my gosh, yeah. 5 billion?
Close.
Is it?
I'll give you half a point for that. It's 6.8 billion.
Wow, that's crazy.
And I wasn't keeping track of how many you got right, but well done. That is the
Thanks.
end of our quiz.
I definitely got more right than I thought I would.
No, that was pretty good. That was pretty good.
Excluding the one that I did definitely know already. Actually, the 2, because I think you mentioned 2 of those before the show. But I wasn't cheating, I promise.
But let us know how you did, if you knew them already, or if any of those surprised you. I thought it was quite a fun quiz. Made me a little bit sad that ChatGPT is the most downloaded app.
Weird, isn't it?
I thought, oh, that's
really
a shame.
weird. I don't know how I feel about AI, you know. It's one of the... I mean, we won't go into it because it's a huge conversation, but I've used it a couple of times, but it just weirds me out a bit.
Yeah, no, I know. It does me too. I don't really like it. Largely, ChatGPT I'm very against for environmental reasons. The amount of power to the... It's something like... This isn't a stat I've Googled. I'm plucking it off the top of my head from what I've heard. It's something like 9 times more to search something on GBT than a Google search in terms of energy to cool down the cabinets that hold the cloud and all that stuff. You know, it is excessive amounts of water used and things like that.
I hadn't even thought about it in those terms. That's crazy.
I looked into it and then for a show I was doing which was all about the environment, and I thought, oh my goodness, that is crazy.
Wow.
And that really changed my opinion, especially of like using it as a tool. I can understand using it for sort of fun, silly things to search. That's when I went, oh, actually, I need to be more responsible here.
Okay, that's fair. That's quite interesting, actually.
So I don't use it. It's not on my phone.
Yeah.
I've not contributed to these stats at all.
No, that's fair. Maybe AI is a conversation for another episode.
Yeah, absolutely. So I suppose, should you ditch your smartphone? We're going to come back to that very question right after we listen to some tunes.
Tunes.
Whoop whoop, hello, welcome back. This is Tanya and Amelia, Coffee Catch-Ups Espresso on Cross Rhythms Radio. We are talking about if we should ditch our smartphones or not, and we just had real fun with a smartphone quiz.
We did.
I enjoy a quiz, and now I've got a real itch to go to a pub quiz.
Oh yeah, I do love a pub quiz.
I love a pub quiz.
Good fun.
But on a smartphone note, where do you see the future of smartphones going? Because it's crazy when you think about how much the technology has really changed. I think I got my first smartphone when I was in sixth form.
Yeah.
So the kids today, like, I know some parents who say when you get to secondary school you can have your first smartphone. Some people give it to their children earlier. I just think, wow, look how quickly technology has developed. Yeah. Like I remember like brick phones and things like that. Oh my gosh, yeah. Would the young people of today know how to send a text when you had to press it 5 times to get to the S?
Yeah. Crazy, isn't it? Absolutely crazy. I think I got my first phone at 11 and it was like a present from my parents for like going to secondary school and stuff. And it was a hot pink Motorola flip phone.
Nice.
The camera was horrendously terrible.
You had a camera on your first phone?
Yeah, but it was bad. Yeah. Like really bad. And I just remember like turning it off and on so much because I thought it would use less battery. I didn't realise that turning it off and on so much would drain the battery so quickly. Okay. But just the novelty of having a phone was really strange. Yeah. And but like couldn't go on the internet because that was like it would cost an absolute bomb.
No, I remember that becoming a thing. Where you could get on certain internet things on BlackBerry phones, where you could get Facebook and you could get BlackBerry messaging service, and that kicked off the whole thing about how do we protect young people online on their phones, and all of that started to come across. I think we were at the very edge of the experiment generation of how to deal with that growing up. Sure. I often I really feel for the generations below us having that technology at their fingertips throughout growing up. I enjoyed not being that generation as much. But yeah, it's an interesting thing. Where I don't know what's going to happen in the future. That's a good question. Like, where do we see?
Yeah, I think kind of we were talking earlier about ChatGPT, and I feel like they will be a lot more reliant on AI. But I mean, saying that, Siri has been around basically since the start of the iPhone, right? And we've never really thought about that. But like, I think they will be a lot more reliant on AI. But then I also think that I think we're sort of starting to recognise a lot more of the drawbacks of smartphones as a society. And I think, interestingly, just being sort of in the world of Instagram, there are quite a few people who are ironically making content about it, but like talking about like slowing down and that kind of thing. And actually, like, I think that has been quite a general sort of almost like a trend within 2025 is actually talking about slowing down and drawing back a little bit from technology and all of that. So I think, as much as I think technologically, I'm amazed I said that in the first take, and didn't say take in the right way first. Like technologically, I think they will continue to advance in terms of AI and stuff, and I think that will get a lot more. Like I just see it getting a lot more like crazy and outlandish. Like there'll probably be like a see-through phone at some point.
Maybe.
That, like, do you know what I mean?
I almost think they've peaked for a bit though. They've plateaued.
Yeah, there's not. I can't imagine that much more they can do with it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, but then could have anybody imagined this like, I don't know, 50 years ago? Probably not. Especially the AI thing. I think a lot of people find really unsettling. Yeah, I don't see what they're going. I'd love for them to invent a smartphone that doesn't lose its battery really quickly, but they don't for obvious reasons. They want you to buy power packs and all sorts and consumerism.
Yeah.
But at the moment I feel like the smartphone's sort of plateaued, but has been overtaken now by the main focus is the AI things and how do we use them. And I'm really interested to see where it will go but there is incredible power in physical things like that aren't just technology. Like I actually don't think the book will ever die. When the Kindle was first invented, that was really cool because you could take multiple books on holiday.
Yeah.
But at the same time, people loved, and I still do, and I never will lose the joy of having a physical book. There's an interesting thing with AI. Will we get so good at recognizing when AI is, when it comes to an application letter or something that you do? Oh, that's AI. No, I want the actual. Sure. I want it flawed. Maybe I want the punctuation in the wrong places. Yeah, because then I know it's a person and not an AI.
So true. So true.
And I was listening to a podcast a while ago called Ignorance. It was a special podcast by Rory Stewart, who was looking at, we're in the age now where we have more information than we've almost ever had before. Yeah. But are we more ignorant than we've ever been? Because there's almost too much information. And I thought that was a really interesting question. Yeah. Really interesting question for us to ponder on. But whilst we ponder, let's have some tunes on. We'll be back in a minute. Hello, welcome back. You're listening to Coffee Catch-Ups Espresso with Tanya and Amelia. And we are talking all things smartphone. So we had a little quiz. We've also discussed where we think this technology is going next. It's kind of scary, I find. I don't know about you guys. But the question that we've sort of started with is, should we ditch our smartphones? Is it time to bring back the Nokia brick? You can text, you can call, but no internet. No. Amelia, do you think you should ditch your smartphone?
In an ideal world, I would kind of say yes, because I am ashamedly kind of addicted to my smartphone. Yeah. I use it all the time. I can't, if I go out the house without it, I'm like, where is it? It's really strange. And, you just use it for everything, don't you? It's got a camera on it. It's got internet access. It's got maps. I don't know where I'd be without Google Maps.
Yeah,
honestly.
That's a big one.
Like, it's not great, but that's the case. And so many other things that I use it for on a daily basis. But then also, in terms of social media, I know that we've talked about this before, but the doom scrolling is bad. Like, I need to not do that as much as I do. But then, yeah, I think it could be really refreshing, actually, to go back to something like the Nokia brick. Because, again, like you say, the function of it, you can make calls, you can send messages, and do the very basics of what you need to do. You're contactable, but you're not uber contactable. Yeah. And that's it. And I think because, especially if you have like a pay-as-you-go SIM as well, because I remember having that as opposed to having a contract. You're kind of a bit more aware, aren't you, of how much you're using it and that kind of thing. So it could be healthy, but then again, at the same time, I actually don't know that as a society we could at the moment in terms of where we are.
It's that classic thing of now we've got it. Could, if you got rid of it, would you feel like actually I'm missing out on something? And that's a really interesting question. And I don't think I'd be interested to, almost part of me wants to try giving up for a bit, see what I would reflect on. Yeah. But I think the thing I would miss is Google Maps. I think you're right. I think it's like living in London a lot of the time. I often think to myself, wow, when I speak to my mum who lived here, lived there when, a long time before the invention of the smartphone or Google Maps, she should take a physical map with her, or she'd ask the cabbies, and I go, that seems in some ways quite limiting. I quite enjoy the fact that I can just Google where I need to go. Yeah. But then also she'll have had an interaction with the cabbie or someone if she's lost, So there is something in it. But yeah, I think there's apps that if I could tailor a phone, I would go, I want a Nokia brick type with Google Maps.
Yeah,
I can
that's
call,
a great shout.
I can text. That's it. But I cannot scroll. And to be fair, I could just delete social media.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
That's fair. It's a fair shout.
I also think another difficulty of the smartphone is the fact that you've got your emails on it. You know, your work emails. And I think what people have started doing a lot more than they ever used to is really cultivate boundaries when it comes to phones. And a lot more people I speak to, especially in the self-employed line of work, freelancers, have two phones. They have one that's their work phone that they turn off.
Yeah, good.
Because they're like, actually, I need to turn this off. And so I think maybe that's it. Maybe it's about boundaries and being really intentional with boundaries. I think the bigger question that perhaps we can come to in another episode, maybe get some like parents involved or something, or get people's thoughts, is about the parenting in a world of smartphones. I think that's a really interesting. When do you give your children smartphones? How many hours do you have on it? And that's a really interesting topic because of, you know, the brain development of young people, and as adults and ourselves, how can we set a really good example to our young people, not just our own children, but to young people in society of how we're using our smartphones and what we're prioritizing. I sometimes find it really upsetting when you're in a room with people and everyone's on their phone. And you know, that does happen, and I find myself guilty of it again. So I'm a bit of a hypocrite. Yeah, but I do find it sad.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I think it's a really, in terms of boundaries, like it's a really healthy thing to put in just like days, or like even just an afternoon or a morning where you literally put your phone in a box and then you just spend some time without it. Yeah. And I think, you know, and I've seen that even as like ideas for couples, or, you know, ideas for friends if you're just having a day out or whatever, of having time where you intentionally put your phones away and then you do something completely without them, and you don't need them, you're not contactable, and all of that. And I think it's a really good idea to do that kind of thing and just spend
Amelia's
intentional time.
Smartphone has just listened to her then and turned itself off.
Oh yeah, no, it died, didn't it? Yeah. Yikes. I didn't even notice that. Well done.
That was
funny.
Brilliantly done.
That was so good. It was
that
like,
was
okay,
so good
see you later then. I see where I'm not wanted.
Yeah.
Bye-bye. That's so funny.
No, that's so good. It's so good.
Yeah, and just put it away. You don't need it. And also I think in terms of messages, I find, and I know we've talked about kind of media overwhelm and stuff. Obviously on your smartphone, you know, your messages pop up at the top of the screen usually, or you know, and sometimes on things like Messenger or WhatsApp, you can see when someone has read your message. And actually, like, allowing yourself not to respond straight away. Like, it's okay to not be available all the time. And I think, you know, especially if you're on your phone at that point and, like, you know, you see that someone's seen your message, you can get a bit like rude. But actually, like, it's respecting that actually, like, people have different headspaces, and often I will wait until I have the headspace to respond to a certain message.
I love that point as well. It should also extend to dating. I was doom scrolling this morning, and I actually saw somebody start something like, if he doesn't reply in seconds, you can tell he's not that interested. And I was like, absolute nonsense. It wasn't seconds, it was if he doesn't reply after a certain amount of time. But I just thought, no, it's so immature. That's so self-centered. You know, okay, if somebody doesn't reply for a week and you're supposed to be seeing them, then maybe that is a problem. But people have lives, give people the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah, totally.
It is overwhelming, these smartphones. So, yeah, it is about cultivating your own boundaries, understanding when you need them. And for me, one of my boundaries is I will not take calls late at night.
Yeah, good.
Unless there's an emergency. Of course, there's always exceptions, and I really try not to get into anything that might resemble conflict late at night.
Yeah, that's really wise.
But that's come from trial and error. Right, on that note, we're going to take a little break, but we're going to come back with some snack chat.
We are.
Woohoo! Let's go. Hello, it's Tanya and Amelia from Coffee Catch-Ups podcast. You are listening to Coffee Catch-Ups Espresso, and we've been talking all about smartphones.
We have.
But we're going to take a handbrake turn away from smartphones, and we're going to talk about, there's a reason I put that in, we're going to talk about service stations. I know that's a bit weird. Why are we talking about service stations? on Snack Chat? Well, I'll tell you for why. In my professional capacity, I go up and down the motorway a lot.
Indeed.
And when you're driving, you're hungry, you're looking for somewhere to eat on the go. And you see, I could go to this service station, this service. Where should I go? What kind of food are you looking for? You know, when you're driving along and you could see the signs saying whatever service station, and then pictures of the different chains, whether it's like M&S to KFC to Greg's to whatever, on those pictures. Which one are you looking for that's going to, that is where I'm going to stop to have dinner?
See, usually I do get quite excited when I see the sign for Costa, because I do quite enjoy a Costa coffee and a little bit of Tiffin. Tiffin's my go-to Costa cake. But depending, because sometimes if I'm not driving, I do sometimes get a little, not travel sick, like I've never really thrown up, but like travel queasy. And so sometimes dairy is not necessarily the one for that. It's not the wisest choice because it fills you up. But if there's a Mackey's, or in fairness, M&S as well, because M&S you can get some quality snacks.
Absolutely.
Like Percy Pigs, obviously.
Yes.
But also just their general like snack selection is like really good. I'll usually, if I'm at a service station, I will treat myself to some M&S snacks.
Yeah, nice, good.
But yeah,
good call.
Otherwise, like the general, like, you know, when you're like in like the WH Smiths, the sweets are like so expensive. I don't really bother. I tend to bring my own like before the journey if I'm doing sweets, because I just, again, unless it's Percy Pigs, like it's too much. It's too much money.
Okay. Yeah, no, I would agree with a lot of that. You have mentioned several of them in there. But
I have.
Is Costa, if you're driving Costa, if you're not driving...
If I'm not
Mackey's.
driving, if I want a meal, Mackey's. If I want snacks, M&S. All of that said, generally...
You can't name all of them. You have to have an answer.
All of them. I'm not naming all of them. I've put my caveats on, but generally, if I am driving quite a long way, I will aim for Gloucester services, just because it is the top tier service station in the country.
Favourite service station.
Yes, understandably.
It was on Have I Got News For You the other day, and I was really smug about it because I'd had an argument with the director of a show I was touring with, a banterful argument about what is the best service station and the worst station. We both agreed Gloucester was the best, and then I said that I thought Bridgwater service station off the M5 is the worst one, and he strongly disagreed. And then it comes out on this survey that the nation thinks Gloucester's the best, Bridgwater's the worst. Yes, thank you.
There we go.
Thank you. I love being right.
Objectively the correct answer.
Yeah,
anyway, I've said my piece.
Okay.
What about you?
Yes. Mine would be Greg's.
Yeah, nice.
I have the Greg's app. I made a free sausage roll.
I love it. Respect.
And an M&S. So for me,
nice,
M&S is top tier. Percy Pig is the ultimate travel snack.
Agreed.
But the problem is when I do go into an M&S, I get pulled in by consumerism, because I go for the Percy Pigs. I think I only need 1 pack of Percy Pigs, and then they say 2 for £3.50.
Oh yeah.
And then I think, that's basically the same as £2.50, so I'll get one. And then that's how they get me every time.
Yeah, every single
Consumerism
time.
in action. But yeah, I also will tolerate a KFC.
Nice.
Actually, no. Do I change it to chopstick noodle? That's often there. No, Tanya.
I would just like to say, you were ripping me for saying a lot, and you said exactly the same amount as I have.
I have. I'm so sorry. I followed your lead. What can I say? No, a KFC, because of the rice boxes. I think
the rice boxes are good.
They are good. But personally, it is of deep sadness to me how on the M6 there just aren't very many good places to get food on the service stations there. So that's sometimes why the M6 is one of my least favourite motorways. Anyway, I've digressed. I think about motorways a lot.
So tell us, what's your favourite motorway?
Please do, I'm interested.
Yeah, genuinely.
But thank you so much for tuning in to Coffee Ketchup's Espresso. I hope, if you're on the motorway right now, I hope you've had a lovely listen along, and avoid Bridgwater service station if you can. But tune in next week. Thank you very much, and goodbye.
Goodbye.